For the peeps who are new to Sentry, Sentry started as an open source error monitoring application, and now we've got more to offer. Before diving deeper into today's topic, mobile release health, let's go over Sentry at a high level. Sentry receives events coming from your applications, and up until recently, events were usually exceptions. Sentry provides you with SDKs that will take care of detecting and sending these exceptions to the Sentry platform. We support a long list of language, framework, and platform-specific SDKs. For example, the Sentry Android SDK is for your Android apps. You install it by adding it as a dependency in your Gradle file. Then, configure it in your manifest file. Just like that, both handled and unhandled exceptions are being sent to Sentry where they can trigger workflows or provide context for triaging and debugging, and ultimately track the issue to resolution. Let's see it in action. Here, my demo app crashed due to an unhandled exception. That exception was sent to Sentry, where I have an alert rule set up to notify me via Slack. If I decide to investigate this problem further, I will get a lot of my information from Sentry, and I can access that through the Slack message. The same concept can be applied to other parts of your stack. You'll just have to use the appropriate SDKs. Now let's pivot back to today's topic. We've supported mobile for several years now, but more recently, we've really focused on the mobile use case. We've released new SDKs for Android and iOS. We also updated our React Native SDK, and Flutter updates are also in progress. On the platform side, we've changed quite a lot. Let's see what it used to look like. For each release, we show you the associated commits, the environments that the release has been deployed to, and the count of new issues. Useful, but a little limiting. Now let's check out the latest view. Not only is it more aesthetically pleasing, it also contains more useful context, most of which is specific to the health of your mobile releases. Why do this? Sentry is already in your app. Why not do it? You need to know the health of new and old versions of your app, and Sentry was in the position to provide these health metrics. Plus, mobile development will continue to grow and evolve, and we want to continue to accommodate that segment of developers. Let's take a closer look at these health metrics. Release adoption gives you the number of active users in the last 24 hours. Crash-free rates help you understand the health of each version. The usage rate is pretty self-explanatory. The total number of crashes will go into this in a little bit. Put that together with what we've already provided. You now have all the insights to answer questions like, how is your latest release doing? Is it stable enough to roll out to the next stage? Or is it failing enough to warrant pushing a new one? Now, where is this health data coming from, you might ask? Well, remember when I said events were usually exceptions? That has changed when we introduced a new event type called transactions, which is used in our application monitoring feature set. Now we have a new event type called sessions, and that's what's powering all this information. Unlike the other two event types that you can see in the UI, sessions are only used for calculating metrics like crash-free users. The Android, iOS, and React Native SDKs all have the ability to generate and send sessions to Sentry. Soon, so will the native SDK. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the data that you capture within a session. Start time, duration, status, device ID. Start time and duration, those are pretty straightforward. Status is the exit status of the session, which could be normal, errored, abnormal, or crashed. And finally, the device ID also doubles as the user ID, which means you don't have to pass us your user ID, which means it's more secure and less work for you. Now that we know what we're looking at, let's check out this sickly looking release. What is happening here? Looks like the last deploy of this version was 5 days ago. I've hacked our deploy tracking to also include the stage of the rollout. This version didn't get very far though, probably because it crashed on half of the users. I want to point out what we're seeing here though, except for user adoption, depends on the time frame that you've selected. This is especially important for your crash-free user stat, which can change dramatically depending on the time frame. We're currently set at the last 14 days. We'll click in for more information. By the way, this is what the old release detail view looks like. Here's what the new one looks like. My favorite thing is this graph that gives you different options to visualize your data. I can zoom into a specific time frame from here. Looks like this release was deployed and immediately started crashing, but luckily usage is dwindling or has dwindled, and probably because a new version was pushed out that day. There's a new issue found in this version, and that's what we're going to look at next. Before doing so, I want to point out that the total crash count will usually not match up with your error count. This is due to all the many ways you can drop events, i.e. rate limiting, sampling. Now, I'm going to look into these exceptions to see if I can get to the root cause. This error message isn't giving me much to work with, but look at all of this other useful data that I have. I also tag all of my errors with a transaction ID. Maybe there's an associated error from the same transaction that will give me more information. Now I'm going to search all of the issues across all of my projects based off of this transaction ID. Bingo! There's a related error. The GitHub integration tells me which commits might have introduced this problem and who the authors of those commits were. Someone's already assigned to this issue. Let's see if there's a Jira ticket. There is already a Jira ticket. Let's see the progress here. It's backlogged and the priority level is set to medium. So I've left a comment for the issue owner since I think this needs to be fixed immediately. Now let's see what a stable version looks like. You can see this version has been rolled out steadily in the last 5 days, and the usage has been increasing accordingly. The crash-free rates are pretty decent, so not much to worry about here. We can continue to roll this version out. Now that we know what sessions are and how they provide health metrics, you probably want to know how you can start collecting sessions from your mobile apps. You can enable it with a single line of code. Just remember you'll have to update to the latest version of the SDK. Sticking with our Android example from earlier, you enable sessions in your manifest file. And that was mobile release health. Back to you, Schaefer.
Thanks, Stu. Thanks for everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed that and got value out of the demo. We're going to jump into Q&A now. We're joined by Bruno Garcia, a software engineer working on our mobile SDKs, and Philip Drabeck, product manager for mobile SDKs. So let's jump right into the first question. What does this cost, and is it available on all plans? Vu, you want to take that one?
Sure. This is free for all plans. And yeah, you don't have to do anything. Just enable session tracking manually for now, and then you can have it automatically enabled later.
Cool. Next question. This looks really well. Will you do something similar for iOS or Node.js soon? Bruno, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I just noticed that on the chat. So we already support iOS. When we built this feature, it came with the mobile SDKs being the first ones to send the session data. So for React Native, iOS, and Android right now. So Flutter's coming soon though. And Node.js doesn't have it just yet. Node.js got transaction support, something else that Vu mentioned. But the release health support is coming right after that.
Cool. Is it possible to add some custom extra logging into a crash report? Example, button clicked, screen appears, request sent. Bruno, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so the SDK offers an API. Once you add that to your app, and you can programmatically call like Sentry, please add this tag, or add this that this button was clicked, etc. You can add all this information programmatically. But our mobile SDKs already do as much as it's technically possible to collect some of these events. For example, the React Native SDK can tell you which component that was clicked and its and its parents, and we can also get that easily for iOS. So some UI events are automatically added there as breadcrumbs, but you can add. So with the way we use our own SDK to add such things, we just call Sentry SDK.add breadcrumb, and we add the information there. So you can also add your custom ones, and you would see the ones that the SDK collects automatically as soon as you add the SDK.
Cool, thank you. How do you get the user information? Do I have to pass that data?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How do you get the user information? Do I have to pass that data? So this is
right. So for the release health, so for crash reports, you can set the user. So when the crash arrives, there's user information, but you would do that programmatically by yourself. Since that is usually private identifiable information or PII, we don't do that out of the box. The SDK is not going to use PII to track release health. What we do is like when the app is installed, we create an artificial ID, it's just a random ID, and we use that identifier to identify that one device. So it's like every installation is a new number, and so we are never able to pinpoint which user that was. We just know it's a different user, just for the sake of getting the statistics.
Awesome. Vu, I got a question for you. How is this different from Firebase Crashlytics?
Yeah, Crashlytics does crash reporting really well, and that's their main focus. Sentry, on the other hand, is a little bit wider in scope. We do both crash reporting and runtime exceptions. So for example, if you have a React Native app, we'll capture both the JS errors and the crashes. And we have the ability to unminify your JavaScript, and we have the ability to symbolicate your crash stacks, your crash stack traces. Beyond that, Sentry is an application monitoring tool. So it's meant for your entire stack. It's not just for your mobile apps. And we also provide things like performance metrics, which I mentioned, but we didn't really go into detail. And that's way more web focus. And then Sentry is focused on the developer workflow. Or the debugging workflow. So we offer features like suspect commits. We also integrate with your issue management system. Bruno, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, actually you ended up covering the part that Sentry supports your whole stack. So the fact that you have Sentry on your backend as well, it adds a lot of value. because you can see a crash on the front end as a result of a 500 from the server. And you can click and see exactly what happened on the server. And it's easier, even if it's separate teams, it helps a lot to, find out what happened in another piece of the system that affects your part of the software.
Yeah, just to reiterate that point, you notice in the demo that I went from a mobile crash to the backend error with minimal effort, and that's just due to the fact that we have a transaction ID being passed between the client and the server.
Awesome. Next question, what additional data are you capturing besides state, start time, install ID, sequence? Bruno, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so we have this custom ID, right? The installation ID that we call is just the environment name when you set up your server, as you said. Like when you set up your app, you can set which environment, like if it's production or maybe it's a test flight build or something. And we set the release name there. So the release name is how we can give all the statistics per release. So you can focus on how is this release going on. With, say, I roll out to 10% of my customers, what is the crash-free rate here? Does it look good enough for me to release it to everybody? So the release name is really useful. And we get that automatically, right? So the way you version your app, we just extract that through the SDK programmatically, like under the hood. And, so it's you just have to add the dependency and add usually just a single line with a DSN or call sentry.init with a DSN, which is a URL. And the whole thing just works automatically.
Great. Can you access crash-free users and crash-free sessions via an API?
Oh, this is not available yet via API. I mean, there are the APIs that the front end uses, but you have to be logged in with the user session. But this should come in the future where we'll expose so that with an auth token, right, you can do a server to service call to pull this data. It's not there yet.
Actually already use it. I think the only problem is that it's currently not documented, but since we use a standard REST format, it's possible to use it already. Some of our customers are already doing that, but yeah, it's not officially documented now.
And can you use an auth key already? Is that fine or?
Yeah,
All right,
we should be able to use it.
Nice.
Awesome. Next question, does it have remote logging? A remote logging feature?
Sorry, I don't know what that means. Remote logging.
I think you can capture logs as well, but the thing is that we do have a context around an error or crash, and we can integrate with the logging libraries. So if there is an error, it is possible to send the last 50 items from the logs, definitely. But we are not a tool that would just store the logs. So we are trying to collect only the logs that are relevant to the specific error or crash.
Got it. Cool. Next question. When does a session start? When app is opened or minimized and maximized? Do you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah. The session starts when the user turns on the app or when the user brings the app back to the foreground after the app has been in the background for more than 30 seconds.
Great, cool. Can you group releases? I have a lot of releases and staging, and I would like to group them in a single block of releases if possible. Can you do that?
Releases are grouped based off of the release ID that you pass. So based on this example, which is, let's say V4 build 1 versus V4 build 2, it won't be grouped together. You can do something clever like just V4, and then you can add a, actually, no, you can't. I take that back. No, there isn't an easy way to do that today, but that's great feedback for us.
Sweet. Next question, potentially the last one. What is the difference between abnormal and errored sessions? Bruno, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So an errored session is a session that did not crash, but had some sort of error in it. So for example, you can do programmatically with the SDK capture exception. So say you do try catch and then capture exception, and you pass that exception as a parameter. So this is not bringing the app down, but you're sending an event to Sentry that will generate an alert, let you know that something went wrong, but it's not necessarily a crash, right? But now an abnormal session is a session that we don't know how it ended. So it might have ended successfully, but it might have crashed, or it might have had an error. We just don't know. And this is, it's usually a very rare, but it can happen on an edge case where, for example, the device ran out of memory altogether, and we just couldn't track if the app successfully closed or if it was just, you know, I don't know. So, but it usually doesn't show up a lot, or it shouldn't.
Got it. Cool. We do have a few more trickling in. What, sorry, is there a way to display the relative adoption rate? So Firebase shows the relative version distribution. Does Sentry offer this option?
I don't know if, as far as I know, it's not possible to do that right now, although I could definitely see how that's useful. Maybe Philip can chime in here.
So that means the percentage of the users across the releases, or what is the relative adoption in this case?
Let's see who asked that question. Let's see if they can, if whoever asked that question, if you want to throw in more context in the chat, we'll come back to it. Just trying to get more understanding of what your definition for relative adoption rate is. We'll come back to that one. Is there TV platform support on the roadmap, like Roku, Samsung TV, etc.?
We have customers. So Samsung TV is Tizen. So it might be possible. So you can write Tizen apps in JavaScript, C++ or C and C# with Xamarin. So it should be possible already with perhaps Sentry native, but we don't have that I'm aware of customers using this. So yeah, it's maybe if you want to reach out later, we can follow up with your specific use case, but I'm unaware of we supporting this right now, TV platforms. There's one question I just saw here, how far we are in supporting Flutter apps built for production, obfuscated and split bug information. So we just started looking at this a few days ago. So we already support Dwarf and PDFs and Dwarf files and ELF and PDBs. So it shouldn't be too hard to do this. We're looking into this. Hopefully it won't take long, but we understand this is a very high priority to the Flutter folks, and Flutter is a priority to us. So it's coming out soon.
Awesome. I want to go back to the last question. I got some more context. So the question related to displaying the relative adoption rate. What is the percentage of users that is on the latest release? This is relevant for teams that use phased releases.
Yes, it should be possible. So it should be already present in the release view. You can see number of the persons, or roughly there's the icon for it, special icon for it, that should tell you what's the adoption of the release.
I see. Is this referring to the release adoption, Philippe, where we show you, hey, this is how many users you have in the last 24 hours versus how many users you have total on this version, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Cool. Yeah. So in that case, it is already available on the UI. That was what the release adoption bar was. It probably didn't show up very well because that particular version had a lot of active users. If you don't have very many active users in the last 24 hours, it will show you, hey, this is the percentage of users versus active users versus total users. I did want to pivot back to the TV platform support. I just got notified by one of our customer success managers that one of our streaming customers is using Sentry mobile release health on Roku. So it is possible.
Cool. some more coming in here. Does it help to monitor performance of mobile apps as well?
Yeah, so this is not performance oriented, and currently we do not offer such a functionality, but this is already on the roadmap and hopefully coming soon.
Cool. How do I link the session logs for my backend and my mobile app?
Great question. So the way that we implement it is we have a transaction ID that's generated from the front end, and then that's propagated to the back end through the HTTP header. Some of our SDKs actually do this automatically. Right now, it's limited to the JavaScript SDK, the Node, and the Python SDK, but you can still implement that same concept manually today if you wanted to.
Do you capture NDK crashes and OOM, and how differently do you treat OOMs and ANRs?
Yeah, so for Android, we do capture NDK crashes, even if you just use a native library and it crashes there. Out of memory, we raise warnings before, like when it's getting close to out of memory. And ANRs, we also capture ANRs. I think by default, if the UI thread is blocked by 5 seconds, then you get an ANR event.
Great. The session tracking ID is it generated in a random way, or do we have to set a new parameter?
Yeah, it's a GUID. So we create a GUID when the app is installed and we save it on the file system. So for the rest of the lifetime of that installation of that app, we'll always use the same ID. So it's random. You don't have to do anything.
I think that is all the questions we have coming in through the chat. If one came in and we didn't get to it for whatever reason, we missed it, we'll follow up with you with some answers. But thank you everyone for joining. Vu, do you have any last things to say before signing off?
Yeah, thanks, Schaefer. I just want to thank our audience for joining us today. I also want to call out some of my team members who were instrumental in getting this feature out. Of course, Philippe and Bruno were a big part of this. And big shout out to my teammate, Will, who did a lot of the work to get the demo data populated for the demo, and our design team for creating such beautiful slides for us. Thank you. And have a great day, everyone. Until next time.
Bye.